November 2005, a Mitsubishi headquarters conference room in Tokyo, Japan. Chief Engineer Hiroshi Yabe stands before a graph that tells a story nobody wants to hear. The vertical axis shows warranty claims per 1,000 units. The horizontal axis shows model years, and the line for the Ford G63T-powered Evolution is climbing, sharply. An executive breaks the silence. How many of these warranty claims are from unmodified vehicles? Yabe hesitates. Approximately 40%. And the other 60%? Modified. But proving modification is becoming difficult. Customers are sophisticated. They know how to hide evidence of tuning. Another executive leans forward. So we're paying warranty claims on engines that customers destroyed through modification, and we can't prove it. Correct, Yabe admits. The room goes quiet, because everyone understands what this means. The Ford G63T, Mitsubishi's legendary rally weapon and the heart of the Evolution, has become a financial liability. Not because it's unreliable, but because it's too reliable, so easy to modify, so tolerant of abuse, that customers are destroying them and Mitsubishi is paying for it. How much is this costing us? Someone asks. $47 million annually in warranty claims, plus $23 million in legal exposure from modified vehicles involved in street racing incidents. The decision is made without debate. The Ford G63T will be discontinued, not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well at being exactly what Mitsubishi couldn't afford, an engine that enabled reckless behavior while hiding behind warranty coverage. This is the story of the Ford G63T, the engine that won rally championships and street racing wars, and why killing it was Mitsubishi's only option to survive their own success. The engine built from desperation and spare parts. To understand why Mitsubishi killed the Ford G63T, you need to understand why they built it in the first place. And the answer isn't inspiring, it's desperate. In 1987, Mitsubishi was irrelevant in performance cars. Honda had VTEC on the horizon. Nissan had the Skyline GT-R program. Toyota was developing the Supra. And Mitsubishi? Mitsubishi had boring sedans and the Starion, a rear-wheel drive sports car that nobody bought. But they had one thing going for them, rally racing, specifically the World Rally Championship. In the mid-1980s, Audi had dominated with their Quattro. But by 1987, the technology had equalized. All-wheel drive was becoming standard. Turbos were everywhere. The advantage was moving from hardware to execution. Mitsubishi's executives saw an opportunity. If they could win in the WRC, it would validate their engineering, prove they could compete with the giants, and give them credibility they couldn't buy with advertising. So they greenlit a rally program with one condition: use existing parts wherever possible. They couldn't afford to develop exotic components from scratch. They had to be clever with what they already had. The solution was the Ford G63, a 2.0-liter four-cylinder that had been powering economy cars since 1980. Nothing special. Cast iron block, SOHC head, about 105 horsepower in naturally aspirated form. But Mitsubishi's engineers saw potential. The block was overbuilt because their foundries used outdated casting techniques. The cylinder walls were thick, the deck was strong. It was heavy and crude, but bulletproof. Someone asked the question that would change Mitsubishi's history. What if we just bolted a turbo to it? The accidental masterpiece nobody planned. When Mitsubishi's engineers first turbocharged the Ford G63 in 1987, they expected maybe 180 horsepower, something competitive for rally homologation, nothing crazy. The first dyno test made 195 horsepower at 14 pounds per square inch of boost. Not bad. But then someone asked, how high can we turn the boost? At 16 psi, 220 horsepower. At 18 psi, 245 horsepower. At 20 psi, 265 horsepower. And the engine didn't complain. No detonation, no unusual wear. It just made more power. Why is it so strong? Someone asked. The answer was embarrassing. The Ford G63 was overbuilt by accident. The cast iron block that was supposed to be a cost-cutting measure was actually stronger than an aluminum block would have been. The thick cylinder walls that resulted from primitive casting techniques could handle boost pressures that would crack modern thin wall blocks. The simple SOHC head, with its large, efficient ports, flowed enough air to support serious power. Mitsubishi had accidentally built a turbo monster from economy car parts. But there was a problem. Rally regulations required them to build road-going versions, homologation specials, cars that normal people could buy, proving the race car was based on a production vehicle. In 1988, Mitsubishi released the Galant VR4, a four-door sedan with the turbocharged Ford G63, now designated Ford G63T, making 195 horsepower. All-wheel drive, aggressive styling. It was a rally car in a suit. Automotive journalists were impressed but not blown away. 195 horsepower was good but not great. The Gallant VR4 was quick but not fast. It seemed like another Japanese sports sedan, competent but forgettable. What journalists didn't know, what Mitsubishi wasn't advertising, was what the engine could actually do. Because the Ford G63T, making 195 horsepower, wasn't producing its maximum power. It was producing the power Mitsubishi thought they could sell reliably while maintaining warranty coverage. The real capability was hidden, waiting to be discovered. The modification explosion Mitsubishi didn't expect. By 1990, tuners had figured out the Ford G63T's secret. This wasn't a 195 horsepower engine. This was a 400-plus horsepower engine that Mitsubishi had deliberately limited. The modifications required were shockingly simple. Turn up the boost with an aftermarket boost controller. Add a better intercooler. Upgrade the exhaust. That's it. No internal work required. With these basic modifications, the Ford G63T would make 280 to 300 horsepower, reliably, on the stock bottom end. Stock pistons, stock rods, stock crank. Word spread through the tuning community like wildfire. The Ford G63T became the budget performance engine. You could buy a used Gallant VR4 or Eclipse GSX for $15,000, spend $2,000 on modifications, and have a car that ran 13 second quarter miles. Compare that to building a Honda B-Series to 300 horsepower, which required $8,000 to $10,000 in internal work, or a Nissan SR 20DET, which needed $5,000 to $6,000 to reach the same power level reliably. The Ford G63T was the everyman's turbo engine, accessible, affordable, and absurdly strong. But the real revelation came from drag racing. By 1994, built Ford G63T engines were making 500 horsepower. By 1998, 800 horsepower. By 2002, some extreme builds were pushing 1,200 plus horsepower. And they weren't using exotic components. The stock block could handle 600 to 700 horsepower with just head studs and a good tune. The stock crank was good to 800 horsepower. Only at extreme power levels did you need forged internals. Mitsubishi had accidentally built the most modification-friendly turbo engine of the 1990s, and they were about to pay for it. The evolution that made everything worse. In 1992, Mitsubishi released the Lancer Evolution, the UVO, a rally homologation special that took the Ford G63T to its next level. Official rating, 247 horsepower in the Japanese market, detuned to comply with the 280 horsepower gentleman's agreement. Actual power, closer to 280 to 290 horsepower. Mitsubishi was playing the same underrating game as everyone else. But the Evo wasn't just a more powerful version of the Gallant VR4, it was lighter, more aggressive, and most importantly, it came with a factory-installed boost controller that made modification almost trivial. Turn a dial, and the Evo made more power. Add better cooling, and you could run even more boost. The factory had essentially built a tuner-friendly car from the factory. Between 1992 and 2005, Mitsubishi released 9 generations of Evolution, each one more powerful, each one more capable, and each one more popular with the modification community. By 2000, the modification culture around the Ford G63T had evolved into something Mitsubishi never anticipated. People weren't just building fast cars, they were building street racing weapons. The problem accelerated when the Evo came to America in 2003 as the Evolution 8th. Suddenly, American tuners had access to the latest Ford G63T directly from dealers. No importing required, no gray market hassles. And American tuners went crazy. Built Evos, making 600, 700, 800 horsepower, became common. Street racing videos featuring Evos destroying Corvettes, Vipers, even Lamborghinis went viral online. Mitsubishi was getting free advertising. Every video of an Evo winning a race was proof their engineering was superior, but it was the wrong kind of advertising. The warranty crisis that changed everything. By 2003, Mitsubishi's warranty claims department was drowning. The Ford G63T-powered Evolution was generating warranty claims at a rate 3 times higher than any other Mitsubishi vehicle. Engine failures, transmission failures, differential failures, clutch failures. Customers would bring in Evos with blown engines, claim they'd done nothing wrong, and demand warranty coverage. Mitsubishi's technicians knew most of these failures were from modification. The evidence was everywhere. Boost controller disconnected and hidden. Piggyback ECU removed before bringing the car in. Aftermarket parts swapped back to stock. But proving modification was nearly impossible. The tuning community had learned how to cover their tracks. They knew which modifications left evidence and which didn't. They knew how to make a heavily modified car look stock during a dealer inspection. One Mitsubishi service manager described it as a game we couldn't win. Customers would modify their cars, blow them up, then hide the evidence and demand warranty coverage. Mitsubishi would either pay for repairs they shouldn't cover or fight every claim and destroy customer satisfaction. The financial impact was staggering. Each warranty engine replacement cost Mitsubishi $6,500. Each transmission replacement was $4,200. With warranty claim rates approaching 18% for Evos compared to 4% for the Lancer sedan, Mitsubishi was losing millions. But the financial cost was nothing compared to the legal exposure. The street racing epidemic that destroyed Mitsubishi's image. Between 2003 and 2007, modified Mitsubishi Evos were involved in dozens of high-profile street racing accidents, some fatal. Each one became a media sensation. Each one mentioned Mitsubishi by name. In 2005, a modified Evo crashed during a street race in California, killing 2 people. The investigation revealed the car was making over 500 horsepower. The driver was 22 years old. The victim's family sued Mitsubishi, not the driver, Mitsubishi. Their argument? The company built an engine that was too easy to modify into a dangerous weapon. Mitsubishi knew customers would modify these cars. They designed them to be easily modified, and they marketed them to young, inexperienced drivers who would use them recklessly. The lawsuit was dismissed, but 3 more followed, then 5 more. By 2006, Mitsubishi was defending itself against multiple lawsuits, arguing the company was liable for modified cars involved in accidents. The legal strategy was brilliant and terrifying. Plaintiffs' attorneys would argue that Mitsubishi deliberately underrated the engine and designed it to handle modification because they knew it would encourage racing. They'd cite tuning magazines featuring Evos. They'd show Mitsubishi's own marketing materials emphasizing rally heritage and motorsport technology. And they'd present the smoking gun. Internal Mitsubishi documents showing engineers knew the Ford G63T could handle 500+ horsepower with minimal modifications. Mitsubishi never lost these cases in court, but the settlements were expensive, and worse, the publicity was devastating. Mitsubishi became associated with street racing, illegal activity, reckless endangerment. Insurance companies took notice. By 2006, insurance rates for Evos were 60 to 80% higher than comparable sports cars. For young drivers, insurance could cost more annually than the car payment. The meeting that sentenced the Ford G63T to death. August 2005. Mitsubishi Motors is in crisis mode again. The company is losing money, sales are declining, and the Diamond Star Motors partnership with Chrysler is falling apart. The board of directors convenes to discuss restructuring. On the agenda, the future of the Evolution and the Ford G63T. The numbers are brutal. The Evolution generates $280 million in annual revenue but costs $310 million to produce and support. That's a $30 million annual loss before accounting for legal costs, warranty overruns, and brand damage. One executive makes the case plainly. The Ford G63T has become a liability. The engine enables behavior we cannot control. The warranty exposure is unsustainable. The legal exposure is catastrophic, and the brand damage is incalculable. What if we fix the modification problem, someone suggests? Electronic limiters, sealed ECUS, make it harder to tune. An engineer shakes his head. We've tried. Every countermeasure we implement, the aftermarket defeats within months. We can't win an arms race against the tuning industry. What about education? Marketing that discourages modification? We've done that too. Nobody listens. The modification culture is too established. The Ford G63T's reputation is too strong. The discussion turns to alternatives. Could they develop a new engine? Something powerful but less modification friendly? Yes, it would cost $400 million to develop, take 4 years, and might not work if tuners were motivated enough. Or they could do something simpler. Discontinue the Ford G63T. Replace it with an aluminum block engine that wouldn't tolerate the same abuse. Make the next Evolution harder to modify by design. The decision is made. The Ford G63T will be phased out. The Evolution X, launching in 2008, will use a new engine, the 4B11T, an aluminum block 2.0-liter turbo designed to be powerful but fragile, strong enough for stock use but intolerant of the modifications that made the Ford G63T famous. The replacement nobody wanted. When the Evolution X launched in 2007 with the 4B11T, enthusiasts immediately noticed something wrong. The specifications looked good on paper. 291 horsepower, aluminum block, modern technology. But tuners discovered the truth within months. The 4B11T was weak, relatively weak, at least compared to the Ford G63T. The stock bottom end was good to about 400 horsepower. Push beyond that, and pistons would crack, rods would bend. The aluminum block couldn't handle the cylinder pressures that the cast iron Ford G63T absorbed without complaint. Built 4B11T engines making 600+ horsepower cost $15,000 to $20,000. The same power level from a Ford G63T cost $8,000 to $10,000. The new engine was twice as expensive to modify. Worse, the Ford B11T didn't feel right. It was responsive and powerful, but lacked the Ford G63T's character, the low-end torque, the instant response, the mechanical urgency. Enthusiasts revolted, Evo forums filled with complaints. People called the Evolution X not a real Evo. Some buyers stuck with used Evo 9 models, preferring the older car with the Ford G63T to the newer car with the Ford B11T. Sales reflected this sentiment. The Evolution 9 sold about 4,000 units annually in its final years. The Evolution X sold 2,800 units in its first year, then 2,100, then 1,600. By 2015, Mitsubishi was selling fewer than 1,000 Evos per year in the US. The car that had once defined grassroots performance was dying. In 2016, Mitsubishi discontinued the Evolution entirely. No successor, no replacement, just done. The Ford G63T's legacy had ended, and nothing Mitsubishi built afterward captured its magic. The survivors who proved Mitsubishi wrong. But the Ford G63T refused to die, because while Mitsubishi moved on, the enthusiast community didn't. Today, 20 years after Mitsubishi stopped developing the Ford G63T, it remains one of the most popular engines in motorsport. Drag racing, time attack, rally, drifting. The Ford G63T competes and wins in every discipline. In 2019, a team in Texas built a Ford G63T-powered Evo that ran a 7-second quarter mile on a stock block. The cylinder walls showed minimal wear after 200 passes. The crank was still within factory specifications. "We keep waiting for it to break," the team owner said. "We're making 1,100 horsepower through an engine Mitsubishi built in the 1980s. It should have exploded years ago, but it just keeps going." These aren't isolated examples. There are thousands of Ford G63T engines running 500 to 600 horsepower reliably on stock internals. There are drag cars that have been racing for 10 years on the same engine. There are time attack cars with 150 plus track days on stock block 4 G63Ts making 550 horsepower. The engine Mitsubishi killed because it was too reliable has proven even more reliable than they feared. And the prices reflect it. A used Evo 8 or 9 with the Ford G63T sells for $30,000 to $45,000. That's more than they cost new, adjusted for inflation. The Evo X with the Ford B11T, $20,000 to $25,000. The market has spoken. The engine Mitsubishi abandoned is worth more than its replacement. The technical genius Mitsubishi refused to develop. But here's what haunts Ford G63T enthusiasts. Mitsubishi never fully exploited the engine's potential. They built it, they used it, but they never pushed it to its limits because they were afraid of what they'd unleash. Internal Mitsubishi documents from 2003, leaked years later, reveal that engineers had developed multiple Ford G63T variants that were never produced. The Ford G63T Extreme, a factory-built version with forged internals rated at 380 horsepower, tested extensively, passed all durability requirements, never released because management feared it would accelerate modification culture. The Ford G63T Efficiency, a version with direct injection and variable valve timing that achieved 30% better fuel economy while maintaining power, canceled because development costs couldn't be justified for a low-volume engine. The Ford G64T, a stroked 2.4-liter version of the Ford G63T, making 310 horsepower, naturally tuned, could have been the ultimate evolution engine, killed in prototype phase when the decision was made to discontinue the Ford G63 family. All of this technology, all this potential, buried because Mitsubishi decided the Ford G63T was too dangerous to improve. One engineer who worked on the Ford G64T project spoke about it years later. "We had an engine that made 310 horsepower on pump gas with plenty of headroom for modification. It was everything enthusiasts wanted, but management killed it because they didn't want to give tuners more power to work with. They were trying to protect Mitsubishi from its own engine, and in doing so, they threw away the company's performance credibility. The rally dominance Mitsubishi wasted." The cruelest irony is that the Ford G63T proved exactly what Mitsubishi hoped it would. Between 1996 and 1999, Mitsubishi won 4 consecutive World Rally Championship manufacturers' titles. Tommy Mäkinen won 4 consecutive Drivers' Championships. The Ford G63T-powered Evos destroyed the competition. They beat Subaru, they beat Toyota, they beat Ford. The engine built from economy car parts became the most successful rally engine of the late 1990s. This should have been Mitsubishi's golden age. They'd proven their engineering superiority on the world stage. The 4G63T and the Evolution should have become halo products that elevated the entire Mitsubishi brand. But Mitsubishi wasted it. They didn't leverage the rally success into mainstream sales. They didn't use the 4G63T's reputation to build excitement around their other products. They treated rally victories like a marketing department problem, not a company-wide opportunity. By 2005, when they killed the 4G63T, most casual car buyers didn't even know Mitsubishi had dominated rally racing. The victories that should have built the brand for decades were forgotten footnotes. The 4G63T proved Mitsubishi could build world-class performance engines, but Mitsubishi never figured out how to capitalize on that proof. What Mitsubishi won't admit. Today, Mitsubishi doesn't talk about the 4G63T. When journalists ask why they discontinued it, they get vague answers about evolving technology and modern efficiency standards. But talk to former Mitsubishi engineers and you hear the truth. We killed the 4G63T because we were scared of it, one engineer admitted. Not scared of the engine failing, scared of what customers were doing with it, scared of the legal liability, scared of the warranty costs. The 4G63T was the best engine Mitsubishi ever built, and we killed it to protect ourselves from lawsuits and warranty claims. That's not engineering, that's cowardice. Another engineer was more philosophical. The 4G63T proved that building something too well is dangerous. We made an engine so robust that it enabled behavior we couldn't control, and instead of embracing that and figuring out how to profit from it, we ran away. Look at what happened. We discontinued the 4G63T. We built the weaker 4B11T, and the market punished us. Evo sales collapsed, our performance reputation died, and now Mitsubishi doesn't even build sports cars anymore. We had the greatest tuner engine of the 1990s, and we threw it away because we were afraid of our own success. The question nobody can answer. Here's what keeps me thinking. If the 4G63T was so problematic, why is it worth more now than when Mitsubishi built it? A complete 4G63T engine from an Evo 8 sells for $5,000 to $8,000. That's 2 to 3 times what a comparable 4B11T costs. Clearly, the market wants what Mitsubishi killed. And here's the bigger question. What if Mitsubishi had embraced the 4G63T's modification potential instead of fighting it? What if they'd sold factory performance parts, offered official tuning packages, built engines with Mitsubishi warranties? They could have captured the aftermarket profits instead of handing them to competitors. The 4G63T aftermarket generates over $100 million annually in parts sales, money that could have been Mitsubishi's if they'd been smart enough to see the opportunity instead of just the liability. Drop your take in the comments. Was Mitsubishi right to kill the 4G63T, or did they murder their own performance legacy to avoid problems they could have solved with better strategy? And here's what I really want to know. If Mitsubishi announced tomorrow they were bringing back the 4G63T in a modern evolution, would you buy it, or has the moment passed? Because maybe that's the real tragedy of the 4G63T. Mitsubishi built an engine so good that enthusiasts still pine for it 20 years after it was discontinued. But they killed it because they couldn't figure out how to profit from greatness. They had the engine, they had the reputation, they had the loyalty, and they threw it all away because warranty claims and legal fears scared them more than losing an entire generation of enthusiasts. The 4G63T didn't fail, Mitsubishi failed the 4G63T, and the company has been paying for that failure ever since. This is the JDM Engine Archive. The 4G63T ended production in 2006, but on tracks and streets worldwide, it's still winning. Still proving Mitsubishi right about its capability and wrong about everything else. Maybe that's the ultimate revenge. Mitsubishi tried to kill their greatest engine, and the engine refused to die. Catch you next time.